Hello and welcome to another Run Gamer video. It's been a while since I made a video, 2 weeks probably, and I would admit the Hachi event, the mess up the devs made, did suck out a bit of motivation for me to continue making more videos, but we have another Dragonslayer event, and since I've done videos for all the Dragonslayers and in myself, the thing in me to complete a set of those videos maybe is the one making me want to do this video. Yeah, here's the skills breakdown for Beowulf, the new Physical Berserker, who is being sold to us as a defender. Whether he is the case or not, as we probably have seen from Aventador's videos and probably some reviews of other content creators and SPP players, that he isn't turning out to be that great even with the recent change to his skill, although not every one of us will have the exact relics needed to do that as quickly, but so he does have his place. But let's check him out. So here are his skills. That's Beowulf, and he's a physical berserker. He comes in with a fairly large amount of health, so 297% health with 60% base health, which is pretty large for a berserker. I think Mahaha probably had a similar or probably even higher health pool, so it is good to see that. What that is good is that with such a high health pool, you can use him quite effectively as a solo titan when you are a low castle level player. So if you just level him up, even if your troops are not very high level there, you can have a lot of fun with him. He brings in with 40% melee resist when he is defending, and 20% when you use him on attack, 35% ranged and elemental, and that's a very good number, 35. Large, although 40 is something which would have been ideal, but it isn't too bad. 35 is respectable, but the melee, you get it at 40%, which for a defender is pretty solid. We're looking at the spearman skills, and these are the skills, the troops that you will be interested in is if you are a higher level player, essentially anyone who's castle level 20 and above, I would say. These are the skills you should be looking at. So here are the skills of the spearman. He comes in with a large 326% health pool for the spearman with a 60% base health buff, which is massive when it comes to a base buff. That's almost like having a mini prestige skill in there. But there you go, that's a pretty large health number. But we'll do a quick comparison with of his spearmen against spearmen of Achilles, Pigsy and so forth. So hang on for that, and we'll kind of find out which of these titans actually produces the most meaty of spearmen. But you can take a guess at this point, perhaps. Anyway, we're talking of armor, and this is where probably Beowulf shines for his spearman. He comes with a lot of armor. You're talking 370% armor on defense. That's incredible. I think spearmen start off with a 30 or 40% armor, at least at level 25, so that certainly helps push the armor by default to about 400%, and so 500 to 500% is normally where you consider, or 450 to 500% is the number that you should probably be targeting to hit in order to create an effective armor protection. What that means is that when your armor reaches levels beyond 450% and 500%, you almost build a defense where an attacker will not have enough armor piercing to overcome that, meaning that you will be cutting down about 70% of the damage that's received. But of course there are titans such as Zabava who can put up 700% armor piercing, so unless you can hit those numbers, you will not be immune, or your Beowulf's spearman will not be immune to that. But it's still a very respectable number. It will definitely provide protection against a lot of attackers in the game. Then we have 40% melee resist and 35%, same set of skills as you have for Beowulf. So, with 40% melee resist, what that means is if you want to hit the sweet 80%, which is the cap for melee resist, you're going to need at least 2 relics, 40 plus 20 plus 20. So 2 relics, which each give you 20% melee resist, will let you hit that 80% number. There are quite a few options to do that, but that's something you will need. The range resist and elemental resist is interesting. Now, whether you should be worrying about range resist is a point to ponder around, because Beowulf does summon corrupted spearmen, and these spearmen will summon on the enemy side, which means that if you bring in range attackers, it's quite likely. So if you bring in Tarhoon's grenadiers, the grenadiers are likely going to get spooked by the corrupted spearmen, and that might be an issue. Though that said, the Tarhoon does quite a good job on his own troops, so they will be fairly healthy. You can probably move your troops, move your grenadiers around and shield them up and stuff like that. So yeah, but ranged will certainly be not something a lot of people will prioritize on in terms of maxing out. But if you are considering maxing out range resist, then of course you have the Axis of War, the 5-star relic. But like me, if you're one who doesn't have that, then yeah, that's going to be a bit more challenging to cap out. But there are a few other relics which we can talk about, which will definitely help us do that. So hang on for that discussion. The 35% elemental resist, what that means is, well, you're going to need up to 3 relics to get your elemental resist up. So 35 plus 25, 35 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20, so that's 60 plus 35, 95%. So 90% is what is considered elemental resist, because 90 is the same as 100 as long as DOT is concerned, because that's the maximum resistance you can get. You can actually, the game allows you to get rather, so that's what you should be targeting. So 3 relics to give you that effect. So 3 relics for elemental resist and 2 relics for melee resist is what you would need to cap out those 2 and make yourself protected against, or as much as you can, protected against incoming melee damage from solo titans such as Zabava, or your Mahaha's Imperials and whatnot, right? Or Panthers from Lifespark perhaps. So that's something you need to worry about. Now, if you want to focus on getting range resist up, then you're going to also need 3 relics, because range resist max out at 95%. So keep that in mind. That is something that you would need to consider. So it's going to be a fab. You're going to choose your relics carefully so that you get the optimum range and melee resist. Let's talk about the archers. For the archers, you're looking at a monumental 450% damage buff, which is 2x. That is 225 as you'll get by default if you use him on attack. That 450% is pretty incredible, and certainly puts him close, though not better, than Achilles, and we'll have a quick comparison of him against Achilles archers as well. So that's something to consider. You got a good amount of armor piercing, which is quite rare, to be honest, on archers. You don't get such a high armor piercing on defense. 225% armor piercing, but of course we know how the AI is in controlling ranged troops, and so all those archer skills, wish they were for attack, but this is a defensive titan, so you just got to live with that and hope that the AI does a fair job of actually making use of these rather fantastic skills for the physical damage that these archers will put out. You get 44% critical, which is excellent. Tier 3 skill, which means that if you really want to focus on archers, which you probably shouldn't if you're considering using him on defense, but if you do, then you're going to need at least 3 relics to get the crit up. You're looking at 180% health and 150% armor, so they are going to be they're going to be decently healthy, not massively healthy, but that extra melee resist and range and elemental resist will certainly help them survive a fair bit long on the shield, so they will definitely be able to resist some lightning spells and stuff like that. But they, as we know with all ranged troops, once they are in melee combat, once a panther engages them or Zabava is close to them, they kind of get attracted, like a bee is attracted to a nectar of a flower, and start to try and dish out some damage, which will not work out very well. So keep that in mind. The real strength in my opinion at least, for Beowulf will be in buffing his spearmen getting them as healthy as you probably can with as much melee and ranged and elemental resist, covering all the bases you can and hope for the best. I mean, this Titan, as you can probably have seen from the videos, is going to be a time killer. He may not get you the greens, you may not, he's not someone that, at least in my opinion, would be or should be your first choice as a garrison defender, but certainly one that you may consider putting on a garrison if you want to slow the attacker down. Let's say you've got a rostrum and you found the attacker is excellent in being able to take down a rostrum pretty quickly because he's skilled with his lightning spells, drop and kiting skills. Well then, in that case, you say, well, I'm just going to put this Titan, which is almost like a Uber Freya, and some might argue against it, but some Titan like this, and just slow the attacker down. Yeah, the attacker will beat your garrison, but in that time that he's doing that, he can probably go and cap a few of his lands and hit a few of the other garrisons or his garrison, whatever it is. So yeah, a time killer in that respect. Talking about the special skills, and you get 3 to talk about. One is every 7 seconds, Beowulf will shield himself and 5 troops, and that'll happen 12 times. And what that means is, well, for 84 seconds, which is 1 minute 24 seconds, you're essentially going to have your troops completely shielded. They're not going to do much. I'm pretty sure, okay, I've missed out a skill here, which I do apologize for, but I think there's a skill for 250% extra shield absorption. I should have put that in. I think I've missed that, but so a shield. So what's Beowulf definitely going to do is have his troops completely shielded from the enemy for the first 84 seconds. So you can almost do nothing to his troops for that time. But after that time, you're remaining with about 3 or 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes or thereabouts to actually shut your damage, which is turning out to be enough for uber attackers like Zabava. But yeah, there you go. That's what you need to think about. The other skills are on allied death. You're gonna get 1 corrupted spearman. That's gonna spawn on the enemy. 3 of these will happen. And every time a corrupted spearman is summoned, you will also get a 30% buff to the arm and armor piercing. So because this happens 3 times in total, and this is triggered by one of your own troops dying. So if you take in your own spearman, you got spearman on defense, your enemy manages to kill 3 spearmen, you're gonna get 3 corrupted spearmen replacing them. And beyond that, after that, I think it's randomized. I don't know which one actually happens first, but you will also get a corrupted archer. Actually, this might happen simultaneously. So yeah, you get a corrupted spearman, corrupted archer, and each of these happens 3 times. So essentially, if you lose 6 of your allied troops, you lose 6 of your spearmen or whatever you take or whatever you have on the field, then you will get a total of, I'll put that in, 90% buff to the Titan's armor and armor piercing. Troops armor piercing, what's more critical here. So your spearman will go from let's say 400% to 490% armor, and that's really pushing towards that upper echelon of armor that you would want. And you will also get your physical damage go up, which I think is quite a shame that it's a low number. I mean, you only get 90% damage buff, but that's very underwhelming. I wish they had the spearman sort of Pigsy level of damage output, so at least that will result in the enemy having some losses when they attack him. So, bit of a shame. I think that's kind of a wasted skill. But yeah, I mean, the crit is great because of the crit, you don't actually have to, as I was mentioning earlier, you do not actually require 3 relics for the archers. You get 90% to critical just from that skill. So critical is all sorted out. Just the stats for the corrupted spearmen, you got 30% damage, they got 30% more health, which is a much smaller number than we've seen for your the corrupted panthers and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a pretty underwhelming number. I'm kind of curious if they scale it up. And corrupted archers with 300% extra melee damage. So this is kind of like what we've seen for the corrupted grenadiers. They're gonna dish out a lot of damage when they are in melee combat. So don't take corrupted archers for granted. If you go in with a troop that doesn't have a lot of health and doesn't have a lot of melee resist, physical resist, it can quite likely get killed by an archer in melee combat. Just keep that in mind. So here are those skills. I think overall, if I had to just conclude, and if you don't have too much time to watch the rest of the video because you've got other things going on, fair enough, then conclusion from my side, this Titan is one that you should get if you don't have a top tier defender like Rostam at the moment, and you are looking for, or you're looking for someone to have in rotation. This is going to be for very high level players, especially for people in the war game. He's going to be a Titan that you want to surprise people on your defense occasionally, and maybe have on as your land defender. Yep. So definitely is going to make people shaving you off quickly much harder. So yeah, that's my conclusion on that. If you're a newer player, not really a must. So event starts tomorrow. Well, starts today, Thursday, 14th of Jan. You're gonna have 1.4x by Beowulf, Achilles, Huntress, and Segunga. If any of those, just go for it. You got 1.2x with 4-star physical titans, 1.1 with 3-star physical titans, and Chalice of Iron is going to be the relic for this event. You could probably get a 1.4 boost with Minotaur and Minotaur's ring, or Sarkon with Sarkon's ring and the Minotaur's ring, but just check that is only if we get iron souls in the event, but that'll be interesting. In terms of the reward chain, you got Beowulf himself at 22,000 souls, and Huntress, the secondary Titan here, available at 14,000 souls. Quite a shame to see a previously Divine Titan now available at a meager. It's not really meager, actually a pretty high number actually. I take that back, so 14,000 souls, a respectable number. If it was at 9,000 souls, I probably would have said that, but yeah, okay, well, they're trying to put this at 15,000 souls, which is fine, but if you are going to 14,000 souls, you're probably one of those that is going up to get Beowulf. There is really no reason to get Huntress for that, even if you're a newer player. No, it's not someone you would want. Right, and you got other relics available at 26. We're going to look at all the relics in a moment. So we'll look at those. Before that, here are the skills for Huntress. If you want to look at, quite underwhelming. I'm not going to read those skills, but yeah, not someone, as you will quickly see, worth having. But someone that you might want to use as prestige fodder, someone to use to prestige up your other Titans, probably Beowulf in this case. This Titan features level 60 Beowulf, by the way, for rank 1, so if you're in top alliances you can get that. Top 50 will also get Beowulf. Huntress at 51 to 100, so if you don't want to get 2 copies of Beowulf, yeah, I mean, no harm in being 51 to 100 and getting that extra prestige level on the single copy of Beowulf that you will get. Other than that, you get 4,000 gems, 3,000, etc. from off that. So also keep in mind that once this event is finished, which will finish on Monday, 18th, we will also have a Titans Unleashed event, which is the fusion event. So you might want to hold off doing any high amounts of fusion, that is leveling up your Titans by sacrificing a 4-star Titan into your Titan until this point, so that you can get the maximum benefit of XP. Here the relics at 23, you're going to get Beowulf's Polder. I think this is a fabulous relic, and not just for Beowulf, but for for a lot of Titans that we might see. But particularly for Beowulf, because you get 40% Titan and troop health. Whenever I see this in there, 40% troop health, that's really good, because that applies to everything that you have. 64% corrupted spearman. So this will in total will give your corrupted spearman 104% health buff. I think this is a must equip. This is a relic that you must have, that is in my opinion, on your builds. Super relic, really love it. 20,000 souls, 24,000 souls, Heart of Witch Drocker. I don't know how to pronounce that, but there you go. This one is primarily going to be useful for that 20% Titan and troop all elemental resist. 20% is a pretty good number, but I think the other 2 skills are kind of meh. Sure, the corporate arch damage will be useful. This relic actually might be something that you might want to use when you use your Beowulf for attack. That corporate damage might help there. Draco Lapis, Good relic. You can get again troop health. As I said, love those type of combinations. And you get 80% Titan and troop melee and range. Is fantastic relic. Also can be equipped, well, can only be equipped on physical titans, but the Spalder can actually be equipped on any titan in the game. So yeah, that troop health useful. So I think as I'll show in the last slide in this video, that Beowulf, Spalder and Dragonslayer are probably good relics to have on your defensive builds. We also have Trumpet of Iron, which has been available for the first time. It was released in a solo event. It's good to see it now available for the second time now, actually, in a regular event. Pretty good relic, more used for attack builds than anything. So you might want to get it for using on other titans, not something you won't want for Beowulf. Tonic of Strength, yep, good relic, could definitely find its place on a build with 16% all elemental resist, but you do get relics with a high percentage, so it's okay. And definitely worth having to stack up elemental resistances if you don't have a lot of other recent relics, so it's a pretty good relic to get. Iron Charms, it's one of the very few, I think probably the only relic that has 25%, that is not 20 but 25% spearman resist, and well, militia as well, but spearman resist to melee. So great relic, especially if you do not have a lot of relics. You can equip this with your titan to get your melee resist right up to 65% with just that relic. So pretty good relic. Bow of Kings and Mace of Kings. Mace of Kings is a pretty ordinary relic. If they ever release a solo physical titan infiltrator, that might become useful, but for now not really critical. Bow of Kings gives you 70% damage for your archers, which definitely is good, and again will probably find a place on an attack build for Beowulf, but not on a defensive build. So here's a comparison of Achilles versus Beowulf, because Achilles is the god of, well, he's part of the war gods, isn't he? Yeah, so he's considered the upper echelon of human troops. So I thought of comparing him here. You look at his spearman, you're going to get 180% health, but Beowulf does a fantastic job of almost doubling or almost tripling that, or at least doubling it. So definitely the spearmen are much more healthier. Unlike 25% melee resist, you're going to get a much larger amount of percentage here. So overall, he does a better job when it comes to spearmen, no comparison there. But when it comes to your archers, you're gonna get the archers for Achilles are much stronger. Yeah, sure, you get 450% health on defense, but Achilles is gonna give you 430% by default. Doesn't matter if you're defending, attacking, and you're gonna get 250 on attack. So archers are amazing on Achilles. So yeah, even though Beowulf looks really good, comes to archers, Achilles takes that mantle. And Achilles also brings in 2 Omega troops of each troop, so you get Omega Militia, Omega Spearmen, and Omega Archers on the battlefield, the start. Beowulf brings in a total of 6, so you get the total same number of special troops on the field. In this case, 6 Omega troops. In this case, 6 corporate troops. But of course, the corporate spearmen are going to have probably more health pool that you would think you would need. So that's great. You got archers and archers doing that as well. So yeah, overall, Beowulf better for a spearman, but Achilles better when it comes to archers. A few more comparisons I thought of making here is looking at who produces the healthiest spearmen. And actually Pigsy comes out to be in the top. Pigsy, very old, well, he's been released for a while now, so pretty good. 480% health is what you can get with him. And Beowulf gives you 326% plus 60%, so if you multiply that 1.6 times, yeah, about maybe they're very close. I don't know. But Pigsy gives you very clean for 48% health, which is good. So yeah, I think overall, Pigsy is probably going to come out slightly on the top. But yeah, I'm happy to be proved wrong if someone else thinks otherwise. In terms of the archers, I think the maximum damage that you can put out is from Uranus. You get 580% damage. but that is if you assume he's on defense. But when it comes to attack, Achilles still produces the strongest archers with 780% damage buff. So yeah, guys, that's it. The other troops as well, which you can have a look at. Now, in terms of the 5-star relics that you might want to equip on Beowulf, here's a quick summary. You've got the Axes of War for Cities Axes, Shadow Dance of Amber of Mahaha. I think if you are considering using him on defense, I think Amber of Mahaha will be the best one to go for, because you get 50% troop melee resist, which you can take your 40% melee resist to 90% and just cap that out, not worry about anything else. But on retrospect, if you actually look at all these relics, you might actually find that you don't actually need a 5-star relic for this Titan. You can actually probably do a fair good job of making a build without a 5-star relic. But anyway, if you really want to equip one, then I think Amber of Maha, if you have all of these, that is, then now a pretty good relic to go for. But if not, you got some other options. You got Axes of War, probably. I would say Axes of War would be the second best, probably. Yep, you get 35% more troop critical, troop damage. Now, actually, I think 4 Cities Axes will be the second best in my opinion, because you get 70% Titan and troop damage and 40% troop armor. Now, one thing you will find with all these 5-star relics, except probably Armor of Maha, I think, to an extent at least, all of these are designed to be for attackers. They're not really designed for being because Berserkers are inherently meant to be attackers. That's how they were designed to be in the game. So it isn't a surprise, at least to me, that if you look at the builds, and of course time will say, but I don't think the best builds for this Titan are going to be one with a 5-star relic in there. Anyway, just something to talk about. Now, in terms of the builds, I think this is one build I came up with, not something I spent too much time on, but here's something you consider. This is a relic, Freya's whatever, Ring of Juice, fantastic relic, because you get some shield as well on your Titan. So if someone's attacking your Beowulf, they probably wouldn't do anything for the first 124 seconds, but after that they'll start dropping in those spells, and probably raid spells, and then your Titan will get shielded, your Beowulf will get shielded, and that will mean that your shields will last much longer, delaying the fight further. So this relic is fantastic. So if you equip all of these together, I think elemental craft, all these, you will probably I think you get 78% melee resist. Yeah, it's not the max. You could probably get you can get a higher percentage by swapping one of these with something else, but I think it's a pretty good build. 78% melee resist. Yeah, you can work out how much. I think range is going to be about 20 plus 18, 38. 38 plus 35 is what, 73% range resist, not too bad. So yeah, a couple of options, and you're going to get 95% or 90% all elemental resist with this build. So some options to consider. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I hope you found this analysis helpful, and let me know what you think of Beowulf, and I'll see you in another video.